a very good morning to all esteemed members of the media who have joined us today. My name is Nicole and I will be your host. On behalf of Frost Sullivan, I would like to welcome you to today's media briefing, where we will be presenting about Frost Sullivan's exciting premier events in the next coming weeks. Joining us today, we are happy to have with us Mr. Shivaji Das, Partner and Managing Director of Frost Sullivan Asia Pacific, Mr. Vivek Vaidya, Associate Partner and Senior Vice President, Mobility Practice, Asia Pacific, and Ms. Chwa, Director of Marketing Communication, Asia Pacific. We will have a dedicated Q&A session at the very end. Meanwhile, you are welcome to type in your questions and we will address them later. So without further ado, I would like to kick off this morning by inviting Ms. Chwa, Director of Marketing Communication, Asia Pacific, to say a few words of welcome.
Thank you, Nicole. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, all, and welcome to Frost & Sullivan Media Briefing for APAC Outlook 2022, as well as Intelligent Mobility Summit 2022. I'm pleased to welcome all of you here today, as this is our first media briefing for this year, as well as for the past years. I think due to pandemic, as well as our internal, calibration of our marketing team, we have been kind of like lost in terms of our communication with the media and all. But from here on, we are definitely looking to have a more dynamic, exciting, information, content, and engagement with all of you. So today we are joined by two of our senior leaders who will be sharing the overview of our two upcoming large events. In these events, you can expect a diverse expert insights and content to leverage and collaborate with us. We look forward to many more future engagement and interactions with all of you. And I personally thank you all of you in advance for your support. Thank you. Over back to you, Nicole.
Thank you, Liping. Next, I'd like to invite Mr. Shivaji Das, Partner and Managing Director of Frost & Sullivan Asia Pacific, to give his presentation on our upcoming virtual event. Shivaji, over to you.
Thanks, Nicole, and a very good morning to all of you. Thanks for spending your precious Tuesday morning with us today. And over the next 8 to 10 minutes, I'll be sharing about this event, the Asia Pacific Outlook event for the second half of 2022. And the key motto that we are bringing through this event is to let's make growth happen together. Yeah. So if you move on to the next slide, what I'll try to cover within the next few minutes is a brief introduction for about 3 minutes about our company. Some of you may not be that familiar with us, so I wanted to introduce our company first. And then we will talk about this event in particular, and then the reasons why we believe you should be attending and covering this event as well. So a very quick introduction about Frost & Sullivan. Our whole motto is to help our partners, our clients, and also our supporters to grow. Yeah. Unlike other advisory or research firms, which do a lot of things in the area of, say, cost reduction, employee cutdowns, or business process reengineering, we as an organization are very focused around growth. And we have identified through a survey of the top executives, the CEOs of the leading as well as the mid-sized organizations, that growth is the #1 challenge that the leadership faces in their organizations. And that's where we come in. We come up with advisory, we come up with analytics, we come up with all our offerings to help our clients grow in this very complex environment. With that in our mind and our key value proposition, if you go on to the next slide. Yeah, this is how we have been operating over the years. So we are one of the oldest advisory and research firms, or more than 60 years. Actually, last year was our 60th anniversary, and we started from very humble beginnings in Palo Alto in California, and from there we have spread to over 48 offices in about 30 odd countries around the world. So that's the kind of expanse that we have. We are very much industry experts. So that's one difference. We are not generalists. We cover 10 industries in detail, and we have people, analysts, consultants organized by these industries. So they are not organized by, say, Singapore or Malaysia or Japan, but they are organized by industries. And they, day in, day out, track the trends in these industries. They talk to the leading players in these industries. So they are real industry experts other than being generalists in their field. And that's the kind of domain or industry experience we bring in when we talk about trends, when we talk about strategies, as well as growth opportunities for our partners. We have more than 16,000 clients worldwide, including almost all the Fortune 100 companies. And we have about 1,500 people worldwide now, of which about 1,200 are analysts and consultants. So that's the kind of scale we bring to our clients and the global coverage and industry expertise we bring to our partners. And the key offerings that we have, if we can move to the next slide, are these three. Yeah? So our key offering are growth analytics, which is our DNA. We started off as a research organization. So if you are familiar with frost.com, and if you are a subscriber to our growth analytics services, you can get access to a wide range of data, reports covering market trends, technology trends, and our subscribers have valued these insights immensely over the last few years. We also offer advisory or consultancy services, as part of which we offer growth-related advisory to our clients, how to enter new markets, how to start new businesses, how to develop new business models, how to do partnerships, M&A. So these are the kind of advisory support, customized consulting support that we give to our clients. And then finally, we have our brand and demand services, as part of which we use our thought leadership to help our clients reach out to their customers in a more powerful way. So these are the three key offerings that we take to our clients. So that was like a brief introduction. And now, without telling you much about us, let's get into the event right away. Yeah. So if you move on to the next slide. Yes. So this is our flagship event, the APAC Outlook. And we did it once in the first half of the year, but we are doing it again now. Typically, we do this only once a year, but we are doing this again now because right now we are living in one of the most uncertain environments that I have seen in my 17, 18 years of experience as a consultant. Yeah. So on one hand, you have these war going on in Ukraine and Russia, which is leading to inflation around the world, which is leading to geopolitical tensions, which is leading to issues around supply chain disruptions. On the other hand, you have some medium to long-term trends which have been playing out. It's immensely hard to get talent, for example, and this is a long-term trend. Companies are struggling to find people. The workplace and its nature is changing. At the same time, you have technologies spreading at an unprecedented pace to the poorest people in the world. So technologies such as digital, financial access, all these are spreading at a much faster pace around the world. So all these are having some unique impact on the industries, on growth opportunities around the world, which is impacting not just the big companies, but the small organizations, and to each one of us individuals as such. And given these uncertain times, we thought it's very relevant to once again revisit what are the short-term, long-term, as well as the medium-term trends for the economies in Asia Pacific, and in particular for certain industries which are important to us. So with that in mind, we decided that we should do this event once more, the Asia Pacific Outlook once more, in the second half, to take into account all these recent developments which have happened since the last development. And we believe this will be a very exciting opportunity, not just share our insights, but also take feedback from the participants and kind of engage in a discussion going forward to help us navigate these uncertain times in a better way. So with that in mind, we will still be focusing on the key things, which is digital opportunities and key innovations for future growth. As I told you earlier, our organization's DNA is to help our partners grow. So with that in mind, again, we'll be bringing in all these factors together to understand what are the growth opportunities for the economies, for the companies, and even for individuals maybe going forward. So what we will be covering in this are these very exciting topics. So what are the key trends by technologies in the short, medium, and long term? And not just digital technologies, but also like 3D printing, for instance. For instance, technologies around aviation, materials, new materials. So we'll be talking about all these healthcare technologies as well to understand how all these converge or independently they are going to shape up opportunities going forward. Of course, we'll be looking at the next frontier of digitization. It's an old topic, but also we'll be looking at new trends, new patterns, including metaverse and the new evolution or the new stages of AI and how that can influence opportunities going forward. A very important idea around new business models. We'll be revisiting them to see how they are going to adapt in these new uncertain environment. We'll be looking at M&A, given that many companies are facing distress at this time. At the same time, the larger organizations or the more successful upstarts are looking at acquisitions going forward. And finally, of course, the topics which are in all of your mind: inflation, supply chain pressures, geopolitical tensions. We'll be looking at these as well when we talk about opportunities going forward. So just to briefly go through the agenda, which I believe you can get in our registration details as well. So we'll be beginning with an overall outlook for the Asia-Pacific region, from North Asia all the way to Australia, New Zealand. We'll be then looking into specific industry or technology areas. So cybersecurity, one of the most important things that all organizations and even individuals are talking about. We'll be looking at justifying cybersecurity investments as an evolving threat landscape. We'll be looking specifically into healthcare in the post-pandemic environment, looking at applications of technology in healthcare. We'll be looking at the workplace, workforce and technology, how they are all going to reshape in the next few years. We'll be looking at airport digitization as aviation sector kind of picks up with travel bans going away in many countries. We'll be specifically focusing in Japan, one of the mover and shaker markets in the region, and looking at technology solutions and how they are reshaping the Japanese economy. As I mentioned, we'll be looking at M&A trends and views for the rest of the year. Energy sector, one of the sectors most talked about given the Russia-Ukraine crisis. We'll be looking at the outlook for the oil and gas sector as well. Metaverse, the hottest topic right now. We'll be looking at growth opportunities in this metaverse space. And finally, looking at the impact of AI solutions in services. So in a nutshell, you can see that we are bringing together multiple industries, multiple economies, business models, M&A, all of these factors, including the geopolitical outlook, to look at what are the growth opportunities for the region, including the major countries and sectors in the region going forward. Yes, so and all these will be presented by some of the very well-known industry leaders that we have across our offices, not just in Asia Pacific, but outside Asia Pacific as well. And in terms of our reach, our first half's event was very successful. We had over 300 CXO level and VP level attendees. We had very strong representation from executives in Singapore, Thailand, Japan, Vietnam, Malaysia, Indonesia, and US. And this year, for this second half event, we are looking at having almost 500 attendees from across industries and countries as before. And we hope to have coverage by prominent business media in Asia Pacific, including some of your support and presence in this event. Yeah. So just to conclude on this note, the next slide, please. Yeah. So why is this event for you? Yeah. So why we believe that this makes sense for you to spend your day with us is that we'll be covering this wide range of topics which you cannot get perhaps in any other event or seminar or conference. We are talking about sectors from aviation to healthcare to technology. We are talking about M&A outlook. We are talking about Japan, Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand. So there's such a wide coverage that we're bringing together in one single event, Outlook event, which will look at not just the technology, but also political, socio-economic, all these patterns. So we believe it will be a very good forum for you to understand long-term trends, medium-term trends in the range of topics for you to understand these spaces better. Yeah. And then, as I mentioned, we have these renowned industry experts from 10 different multifaceted industries, all in one place, sharing their insights over all these years through not just their experience, but also their interactions with the top executives, with the clients that we work with coming together in this particular forum. And then finally, not to bore you, this is not going to be a sales pitch. We are not going to talk about our products and services, but only about the industry insights and trends. So with that in mind, we hope that you will be attending and covering this event, and we will be available for any follow-up questions or discussions as well with you to provide more insights if that is required. Yeah, so you can register for your complimentary pass by just scanning this link. We'll be also mailing all these details to you, or you can contact Nicole as well as Deeping to get more details or to register for this event. So thanks. And once again, I'll look for your attendance as well as thanks for being interested in this particular event. Thank you. Over to you, Nicole.
Thanks very much, Shivaji. Moving on to our next agenda, we will be introducing our 14th Annual Intelligent Mobility Summit that will be happening this September 7 to 8. We will be playing a video, so please tune in as we give you a little glimpse of what our flagship event has to offer.
To me, the thing that stuck out is right across the value chain here, from suppliers, from OEMs, to users, to transport, that we're all here. So you've got together here the complete value chain.
What I liked especially is this diversity of opinion, the fact that there is no formatted messages, it's open, it reflects the complexity of the topic today, and it helps making our own opinion. We see that the content is so good in terms of understanding, what's happening globally in the domain, and compared to our own market.
All right, now I'd like to invite Mr. Vivek Vaidya, Associate Partner and Senior Vice President, Mobility Practice, Asia Pacific, to give us his presentation. Vivek, over to you.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you so much. And welcome to my friends in media. And it's my honor and pleasure to present our flagship event in mobility industry, which is Intelligent Mobility Summit. This is our 14th annual event, and this has been running continuously. So this year, it's taking place on September 7th and 8th. It's going to be 2 half-day event, and I'm going to share the exact timings. And we have selected the time zone in such a way that we are going to attract delegates as well as speakers from Asia Pacific, Middle East, India, as well as Europe. Due to time zone constraints, US participants can also view the content, but it would be offline. So it is a truly global event that we are attempting to do this year, which we believe is unparalleled. So going a little bit detail into this event, we can go to the next slide. So this is how I'll present my case here. So we will just give you a glimpse of what are the past mobility events, what do they look like, and what are the highlights of these events. Then we will focus on 2022 edition. We will update you about who are the key speakers, who are the partners, and what is the agenda. And finally, what would be the registration link and how you can participate. Let's go to the next slide. So as I mentioned, this is a event which is running continuously for last 14 years. What sets this event apart is Frost Sullivan's contribution in terms of thought leadership content, coupled with speeches and panelists from industry. So if you see, most of the other events that are organized by event marketing companies are everything that is, they just gather a few industry participants and they essentially communicate their opinion, and it may not be well harnessed and well choreographed event. In our case, it starts with the trends that are identified by Frost Sullivan, the trends that are researched by Frost Sullivan, and we come to our own forum and communicate our own views about this thought leadership topic, and then we get opinion makers from the industry to either agree or disagree with us. So it's an open, free, and frank discussion, but the topics as well as the base research is completely done by Frost Sullivan. Before pandemic struck us, it was a physical event. We used to conduct it in London, Tokyo, and New Delhi. During pandemic, however, we went virtual. So this is the third virtual event. We first did it in 2020, then 2021, and now we are going to do in 2022. Hopefully, if things improve, we should be able to do a physical event in the year 2023. So let's look at the highlights of 2021. As you can see, in 2021, we attracted 2,100 registrants, out of which almost 1,200 attendees attended the event. You can see the glimpses of how the event looks like, which is a nice platform. It doesn't look like you are just attending a Zoom meeting, but it gives you a feeling that you are virtually attending a large event. In this event, we got about 400 companies, about more than 30 speakers, and more than 13 supporting and media partners, and about 4 sponsors. What this event allows you to do is not just attend our content, attend our presentation, but it also has a networking space where you could set up a time and you can chat up with the industry colleagues whenever both of you agree. So what you see here is networking as well as content as well as industry interaction all rolled in together. Let's go to the next slide. Another highlight of this event, and I want to highlight this for the virtual event part, is the profile of the speakers. So typically what happens is when you have a virtual event, people tend to feel that, oh, maybe I don't have a strong networking opportunity, so it may be difficult for me to attend this event, so on and so forth. But we have made it up by increasing the quality and the level of speakers that we get in this event. So in the year 2020, we had CEO of Nissan, Mr. Ashwini Gupta, Christopher Werner, who is Managing Director of BMW Asia, and Mandali Kalesi, who is Vice President in Automated Driving Strategy for Toyota Research Institute. In 2021, it went up even further. We had a president from Toyota, we had a CTO from Denso, and we had a CEO from Food Panda. So the quality of speakers, the level of speakers who come and attend this event has significantly gone up. We have them as keynote speakers as well as panelists. And we are keeping up with the tradition to recruit the high value speakers this year too. Let's go to the next slide. I want to give you a glimpse of who are the past attendees, and this is when we did the physical event in Japan. As you can see, all the major logos are here. The entire automotive value chain. We heard in the video that they were saying that entire value chain. So right from steel companies, tire companies, right up to car companies, trading companies, all of them are here. We also have fantastic feedback about this event. They call it very insightful. They call it a no nonsense, high caliber event. So essentially at Frost & Sullivan, what we believe in is through these events, we are not really making a sales pitch. I think our content, our thought leadership content has to speak for itself. And therefore, there are no hard ceilings. These are just industry trends, industry forecasts that are of interest to the wider audience. Let's go to the next slide. I also want to highlight who are our past partners and sponsors. So as you can see, the past partners include the sponsors from all walks of life. We have some logistics companies, we have new age car companies, we have software companies, we have even cloud companies like AWS, as well as new mobility players like OMove, etc. We have also got patronage from very strong media partners and press associations such as Bloomberg, BBC, Fleet Europe, and Financial Times. So, effectively, this is a very widely covered event. We have a very strong participation from the entire value chain of automotive and transportation, and we bring in thought leadership content at this forum. So this has been the tradition of this event, and we aim to continue with this tradition in 2022 as well. Let's go to the next slide. So let's focus on this event. So what's this event going to be? So it's going to be 2-day strategic summit with a very interactive platform. So the platform glimpses that I showed you allows two-way interaction. The participants can actually decide a particular time and have a video chat with each other. They can have an audio chat with each other. They can even exchange their contact information, which is already registered on the platform, so that they can meet up with each other at a convenient time. Every theme that we have has speeches as well as panel discussions. And in panel discussions, we have a two-way communication where the participants can post their questions and the live panelists would actually answer them right at the spot. So it's a very interactive. So we're trying to overcome all the barriers that exist because of the virtual platform, but we are trying to overcome all of them. Secondly, because of digital platform, it has convenience, flexibility, and interactivity. Convenience, flexibility, because you can choose at what time you want to watch. Let's say you miss a particular theme, you can go back. It is available there for one more week. You can watch it on demand. Suppose you want to share this with your colleagues, you can go there and do that. You can log in again and again and consume the content. It is convenience because your time that you spend in attending this event is very limited. You don't have to travel, so it's quite convenient too. I think this year, what will even set it apart is incisive content that we have got in place, and I'm going to update you about this. We actually started off planning about this content way back in December 2021. That's when we come up with our annual automotive trends, and our entire content is designed based on that. So I'm very proud of the content that we have put in. I'm very proud of the speakers that we have been able to gather, and I'm going to share that just in a moment from now. It also provides very unique sponsorship and partnership opportunities. Any of you media friends who are interested in getting associated with the event, do contact Leaping and Nicole, and they will tell you how it can be done. Let's go to the next slide. So we offer 4 distinct value propositions to the participants through this event. I've said this, but let me reiterate. Number 1, thought leadership content. The content comes from Frost Sullivan's research. It is gathered painstakingly through primary research, through secondary research by our industry analysts who have spent many hours in putting together this content. Then comes opinions of industry leaders, and I'm going to show you how these industry leaders are going to participate in this. They are going to participate as keynote speakers, they are going to participate as panelists, and they're essentially going to have a very clear opinions expressed from their point of view as far as the industry concerned. So as the attendee, you get an all-round perspective. You get to see what a thought leader consulting company like Frost Sullivan is saying, as well as how industry leaders are either agreeing or disagreeing with it. We also have disruptors. We also have some startup companies. We also have some major disruptors. So this year, one of the major disruptors for mobility industry, Foxconn, has also participated as a keynote speaker. So it's a fantastic opportunity to meet the disruptors, not just the established companies, but also the disruptors. And then finally, as I mentioned, networking with peers is another benefit that you can avail by attending this event. Let's go to the next slide. So here I'm going to walk you through 4 different themes that we plan to cover in this particular event. There are some breakout sessions which you can attend once you register for these themes, but these 4 themes are probably the most important attraction as far as this event is concerned. So theme number 1 is zero emission vehicle, and we are talking about decarbonization, which is driving towards sustainable mobility. This, needless to say, is a buzzword. Needless to say, it is something that every single company in mobility industry, every single company in transportation industry is worrying about. And we are looking at the transition that goes from molecules to electrons, which means it is everything about it is E. The format of our event is there is a keynote speech by the industry leader. So this year we are happy to welcome Pons, who's a SVP in Nissan, who would deliver his keynote speech. Then it would be followed by Frost Sullivan Insight that will be delivered by my colleague, Dr. Jose. And then it will be followed by a panel discussion. And the panel discussion topic is what would be done to achieve the carbon neutrality vision. So we are covering right from the zero emission vehicles, right up to the carbon neutral vision that most of the automotive companies are talking about. So it's going to be like a 1 hour session, power packed with all the industry insights. The second session is another session which I'm particularly proud of, and that is software defined vehicle. From our research about what other events are covering, we found that this particular topic is very least covered, and this is the topic which is going to define the future as far as automotive industry is concerned. So software defined vehicles are the vehicles where the software plays the major role. The software decides what features are going to be made available to the driver at what point in time. It is designed by keeping the software design at the core, and then the vehicle is designed around it. So this is a classic convergence between what we have seen in soft phones, in smartphones, and automotive industry. So the design thinking of a smartphone is being brought into automotive industry, and that is what is going to be reflected in software defined vehicles. So a fantastic session. If you are keen on knowing more about this trend, I would strongly suggest that you attend this particular session, which is going to take place on 7th of November. We have got a great keynote speaker for this. As I mentioned, William Way, who's a CTO of Foxconn, and MIH, which is Mobility in Harmony, which is an alliance which is looking at disrupting the existing automotive industry by bringing in a completely different way of thinking in design thinking, in product thinking, as well as manufacturing thinking. So I'm really looking forward to this session by William. Of course, I've heard this his speech when we interacted about what we can cover, and he's saying that cars are likely to face the Nokia moment. Nokia, which was the most established mobile phone, which could do nothing wrong, and then they overlooked what was coming their way in terms of Apple's iPhone, and then we know what happened. So his argument is that we are likely to see something what happened to Nokia to traditional cars. Now, the jury is out whether it will happen or not, but this promises to be the most exciting session. My colleague Jack Palmer is going to present our views, Frost Sullivan views on the same topic, and then we would have a panel discussion on who's going to win this tug of war between car makers and IT giants. And I would be moderating this session. Please do join me. We have awesome panelists coming from Nissan, Bosch, as well as ZF. So geographically diverse audience, diverse panelists from the value chain, and exciting topic that we are going to talk about. Let's go to the next slide. The next topic is going to be on future of trucks and future of commercial trucking, commercial mobility. We find that most of the automotive industry is now getting very interested in trucks. Most of the car companies who did not initially have any presence in truck are forming alliances, are forming joint ventures, are creating different companies who work with fleets. Because what pandemic has shown us is there is some sort of a convergence between passenger mobility and goods mobility. And therefore, car companies, if they want to be called a truly mobility company, they cannot stay away from trucks. So we are going to analyze all the trends, including cost of operation, including continuous value generation, including zero emission trucks, All of this is going to be covered in this. We have a very great panelist and a keynote speaker from ZF Group, my colleague Virender, and the head of engineering of Tata Motors, again ZF Group, and BYD in Europe. All of them are going to talk about the trucking and future of trucking. Let's go to the next slide. And finally, we are going to have future of mobility. So future of mobility topic, and this has been a recurring theme in our entire intelligent mobility, where we always give a future outlook of future mobility. This year, our theme is future of mobility is moving from mobility on demand to lifestyle on demand. So mobility is not just about mobility, but it's about delivering lifestyle to the consumers. And that is what is setting this apart. In this future of mobility track, we are going to have companies probably you haven't heard of, Free2Move. It's a great startup that is coming up in future of mobility. We have Navia, we have Wulog, we have Gogoro, which is a disruptor in Taiwan, and we have Goldbell, which is a traditional company, but they're shedding the screen and coming into this disruptive mindset to create future of mobility. So again, this also promises to be an exciting session, which is going to conclude our event. Then let's take a quick look at key speakers and partners. So as you can see, we have Ando-san from Nissan. We have Legzapi from who's the Chief Commercial Officer of Scorpio, Mr. Anuj Jain, who's Vice President of Porsche. And I can go on and on, but just to highlight a few, Mr. Anirudh, who's Vice President and Head of Engineering of CV in Tata Motors. Kirk James is Chief Marketing Officer for Gogoro. Let's go to the next slide. We have Luca Martin, who's Chief Executive Officer of KTM Asia. We have Mr. Mahmood, who's e-trucks Director for BYD in Europe. Mr. Kelvin Tay, who's Managing Director of Future of Mobility in Goldbell Group. And finally, William Way, who's Chief Technology Officer in Foxconn in MIH. So it promises to be an exciting session, promises to be an exciting 2.5 days, which will update you on all the future trends of mobility. So how do we register? This is the way you can register. Why you should attend, I would echo what Shivaji mentioned. This is not a sales pitch. This is a pure and clear future trends presentation coupled with what the industry leaders are thinking. So do join us for this event, and we would be happy to answer any of your questions. Back to you, Nico.
Thank you, Vivek. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are interested to register and attend the event, you may also find the link in the chat box. Okay, so moving on, dear members of the media, we will now have a Q&A session. If you have a question for Shivaji or Vivek, please feel free to type them in the Q&A box. Okay, we have a question here for Shivaji. Shivaji, will Frost & Sullivan be sharing in detail the impact of ongoing inflationary trends?
Yes, it's a great question because this is in the mind of everyone. We will be looking at inflation, we'll be looking at geopolitical tensions. Of course, we will be covering the supply chain disruption as well, which is in everyone's mind. At the same time, these are more of near-term trends in our opinion, and we will be focusing also on the mid-term and long-term trends. So it will be a more holistic coverage and not just looking into these immediate near-term factors which are influencing us, but looking at both the short, medium, and long-term. But in a short mention, yes, we'll be looking at these.
Shivaji, are there any other questions? Please feel free to put them in the box. Okay, we have another one here for Vivek. Vivek, why such a big focus on commercial mobility?
Yeah, as I mentioned, what we have seen in the pandemic is the mobility companies survived, say someone like Grab, they had to quickly modify their business model from transporting people to transporting goods. And then they found that food delivery is one of the major businesses, and that actually helped them to keep afloat. So the entire mobility industry is now looking at how person and goods mobility can converge together. In fact, most of the car companies are also looking at creating an end-to-end visibility in the logistics by forming alliances, by forming partnerships. And the interest in commercial mobility is at all-time high. And as a result, we also see that commercial mobility itself is on the move. So it is likely to move in next 5 years from being a product-based service to a completely service-based organization. So in the sense, the truck would be used as completely as a service rather than as a product. And most of the car companies are also getting interested in this trucking as a concept, and commercial mobility companies are trying to change their business model. So a lot of developments, a lot of happenings, and we think that is important for the entire mobility industry to know. And that's why it is included as one of the important topics in our Intelligent Mobility Summit 2020.
Thank you, Vivek. And we have one more question for you here in the chat box. EV is a buzzword, but your agenda mentions zero emission vehicle decarbonization. Can you elaborate the thought process behind this?
Yes. So at Intelligent Mobility Summit, we always look at a time horizon of next 3 to 5 years. Electric vehicle is a buzzword today, but we had talked about electric vehicles a few years ago. So in next 3 to 5 years, what we believe is going to happen is, of course, battery electric vehicles are here to stay, but we will also see emergence of hydrogen vehicles, and battery electric vehicle and hydrogen vehicle together are clubbed and called as zero emission vehicles because there is no tailpipe emission. We also find that most of the automakers, most of the cities are saying that they will ban IC engine vehicles from either 2030 or not 2030, 2040 or 2050. As a result, most of the mobility industry has to prepare for that. And therefore, sustainability and decarbonization is a big focus throughout the entire industry. And earlier, decarbonization was only talked about in the sustainability report. But now we believe that this decarbonization or carbon saving is going to go from a sustainability report to P&L statement, because soon, if most these companies want to become carbon neutral, they will have to purchase carbon credits, and then they will have to pay real money to buy carbon credits. And that is a development in itself. And we want to start tracking and start talking about this development from now onwards, so that we know that when this trend is approaching, we will be able to have a very sound knowledge base to update our clients about this. So that's why not just EVs, but zero emission vehicles as well as decarbonization.
Thank you, Vivek. Any further questions from the media? Please feel free to type in the Q&A box before we close the session. All right, if we have no further questions, then with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of today's media briefing. Thank you very much for your time and interest. We hope to see you again. And of course, if you have any further questions, you may reach out to me, Nicole, via the email shown on the screen. Don't forget to also follow our social media channels at Frost Sullivan APAC. Thank you very much and have a great day ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.